followed by the rise of Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get started, just a couple of changes to the agenda this evening. Consent agenda items number 17 and 18, Edgewood Road Block Party on September 8th, and Cutler Park Block Party on September 15th have been added. Resolution 148-18 has been tabled per administration.
Wait, what number was that again?
148-18. Resolution 155-18 has been added and is at table in front of you. And at this time, I would ask for a motion to add Santa's arrival and the lighting of the Morristown Green Christmas tree on Sunday, November 25th.
I'll move it.
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. That will be added as item number 19 to the consent agenda. That being said, unless a member of council would like to pull one of the consent agenda items for separate discussion, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'd like to pull 12 and 13, please. And 15.
Okay. 12, 13, and 15. Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve items 1 through 11,
14.
and 14, and 16 through 18, 19.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, 1 second, I'm sorry. Okay. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 13? Discussion?
12.
So,
I'm sorry, 12?
so item 12 is a facility request for Saturday, September 8th on the steps of Town Hall.
Yes.
So my question, I have a couple of questions. One is, at one point, we had talked about sort of taking an inventory of Saturday rallies because of the business district being impacted. And I just was wondering, is there a schedule that we're going to get? I think maybe the town clerk's office was going to do it or something, but to provide us with a schedule of all of these events so that we weren't overburdening our business district, and I just was wondering where that request is right now.
That was something the clerk's office maintained under Margaret's predecessor. We should probably restore that. Just
Yeah, because
maintain
it's
events.
really confusing for us as we get different requests, that it would be much more
Understood.
as we try to evaluate them. My other question is we require a security deposit of $50 to use a bathroom key at Lidgerwood bathroom.
Yes.
But do we require any security deposits for actual security?
Not currently. Quite honestly, the deposit for the security key is so that people return the keys.
So in terms of
it's not-
security or turf damage or anything?
As of right now, we don't currently require any.
So
additional-
I would like the administration to look into that too, because I think that.
We are.
as-
We're evaluating the whole special event permitting process as well as reviewing, additional fees potentially.
And on the application, it says Healing Arts Park. Where is the Healing Arts Park? Is there a? It's the third one on the right, under Park. I didn't think we had a Healing Arts Park. I think that was stalled or something.
Isn't that technically the backside of Town Hall?
But it was never,
Yeah, kind of, but it was never really.
so could we change that to Foots Pond, since Foots Pond Park isn't on here? And I know that we've talked about that before.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
I think we should have clarification, though, on the town hall. It's not a march. It's not a march. They're not going to be marching to the central business district.
I didn't say that.
No, just in case you thought they were going to disrupt it's a small event, and I don't see how they're going to disrupt the central business district business owners.
Well, it's not a small event. The application says 1,000 people, and it says also in another part of the application, 250 to 500 people. So one of my other questions was, is when we get these applications, is there any way we could ask for a range so that
That is
we
the-
could be more accurate with our crowd control?
The note on the application actually amends their attendance from 1,000 to 250 to 500.
Okay, so could we get like a range within, say, 50 people? Because I think it would really make things easier from a crowd management standpoint.
Well, I think I'm going to speak on this. I think they overestimate. We've had applications where they said 500 and 50 people showed up. So it's not, like I said, a march. It's between 250 and 500. The 250 being the low end, it may be less than 250. I don't think they can minimize it to 50, but they give that range 250 to 500. It was 5,000, we wouldn't have it there. So I think it's not unreasonable for them to have a range. And like I said before, it's not a march that's going to disrupt the central business district. And the police signed off on it as not an issue for them. So, but I understand what you're saying, and we are working on that fee permit.
Following up just on Julian's comment, the rules associated with permits, you're looking at those rules?
We're looking at the whole process, soup to nuts.
And the conditions and whether or not security deposits for damage should be levied and
All of them,
where.
all of the
and
above.
Make sure we're
We've
not
been
infringing.
inundated.
Also,
Right.
that the choice of forums, we're not infringing on anybody's constitutional rights to free speech and what have you.
Correct. Correct. And Morristown obviously has now become a mecca
Yeah.
for, not marches, but for rallies and for standing up for certain issues. Morristown has become a leading community in people's rights. So,
But it's good people
it's a
speak
great,
up, but
it's
you
a-
want to protect the
It's a
town
great
also.
thing, and that's why we know we're getting inundated with these more and more, so that's why we're looking at the whole structure.
It'll be content neutral.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Do I take a vote on just that one, or can we go through
them
all
all,
three
the
and
three.
then
I pulled all three, I have questions on all three.
take it separately? Okay, a motion to approve consent agenda item 12.
I'll move it. Second?
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 13?
So I asked this be pulled because this event is actually Thursday, and we're approving it today. So I just have a question, is when you review these procedures, could we ask that there be a deadline with, maybe 7-day deadline so that we could notify traffic, so we could notify constituents, so we could, obviously have some notice in terms of events? I think, 2 days is a short time frame. I know things come up, but
You'll notice the top of the application, there's actually a 30-day requirement as part of the application process.
Okay.
This was submitted less than 30 days before today's meeting.
there is a 30-day requirement.
There is.
Okay.
We have not been rigid about enforcing the 30 days, although that's something that I think will need to be considered as part of this overhaul of our process.
Or maybe that time frame, maybe 15 days or something. Okay,
More than 7 would be helpful, yes.
okay, thank you.
This also was looked at by the police, and the chief signed off on it. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda item number 13, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 15?
So I just had a question because there was an email about a food truck permit, and I didn't see any permits with this application. So as this governing body is the body that approves the application, I just was wondering, did we get food trucks and permits, or?
The information I have is what's been submitted in front of you. I don't have
Okay.
any further information beyond that.
So we don't,
I have a lot of information on it if you want me to tell you about it.
so do we know that there's going to be food trucks there?
There's going to be a little trailer the guy brings in his truck and does barbecue for the block. So instead of having 20 grills, there's going to be one company that comes in and serves barbecue. That's it. How do I know
Because the
that?
application says 2 to 3 food trucks.
It's going to be
and-
one bar. How do I know that?
And the fee is $100, so I just was, and the
Right.
fire
But you-
marshal.
but I wanna tell you how I know it.
asked that. So.
Because it's my wife who put this in.
I understand it's your birthday,
Yes, and that's what
it's a
it
big
is. So
event.
it's not a surprise, and that's
So-
what it's going to be.
I just, in order to be fair and consistent to other block parties, if there are having food trucks and the permit cost is $100, I just was wondering if the permits had been filed.
Yeah, I think they have to go through the health department, and they have to.
Well, in the
file-
past, the permits have been included in the application, and they're not here, so I just was wondering if.
I never saw a permit included.
The health, if there's any permits that are required beyond what's submitted, they're submitted directly to departments. There's fire departments, occasionally there are fire department, fire marshal permits that are submitted separately, and there are health department permits that are submitted separately.
So in this case, have the permits been received?
That's,
I'm sure that whoever's filing for this will file the proper permit fees and with the health department.
yes.
I'm sure the mayor's wife is not going to violate the law.
Hope not.
Call the question.
All approvals are subject to getting proper approval, so.
I was just reading the packet, and it just said that a permit was required, and I didn't see the permit in here, so I apologize if I'm not doing my job effectively.
Permits are not a prerequisite for submitting the special event.
They're a
It's-
prerequisite for approving an application, so,
No?
That is incorrect. The application states that if there's subsequent permits that are required, that it's required to, that they comply with the permits.
so I'm
That's not
asking
a
if the
prerequisite for
permit's
submitting
been
the
received.
special
So, forget it. I'm so sorry if I'm just out of line here.
Call the question, please.
A motion to approve
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
consent agenda item number 15.
I'd like to make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
And Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on, oh, no, we're not moving on. Council President?
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard on this evening, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for your patience on this evening as our executive session went a little longer than we anticipated, so we thank you all for your patience. And if there are any members of the public wishing to be heard, please come before us, state your name, address, and keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Tim. My name's Kevin McNally. I live at 13 Franklin Place. I hope to be able to get through this. I happen to be the father of Brian McNally, who is captain in the United States Marine Corps Reserves, who was also a New Jersey State Trooper. He ran a unit of 150 Marines who had been deployed to Afghanistan on the Ground Intelligence Unit. We lost Brian on May 20th in an active duty fatality on his return home from a Marine exercise. On behalf of the McNally family and clan, as I like to call it, we'd like to thank the town of Morristown. Tim's was outstanding. We had and Bob, an amazing viewing of Brian at Assumption, and an amazing mass. We'd like to thank the town of Morristown for the support, the caring, and the prayers for Brian and our family. In particular, I would like to thank Officer, I believe it's Sergeant Labar, who was incredibly helpful, Captain Richardson, both working with the United States Marine Corps, and there were a lot of them, and the New Jersey State Police, where Brian did some amazing things with the New Jersey State Police his first 9 months on the job there. In particular, my wife Barbara, who's not here tonight, but she's a teacher at Morristown High School, would like to thank Pete, Coach Pete, as we call him, Chief of Police, our son Brian, who's 6'9", right, Bob, thereabouts? He was a mentor to our son. He was a reference for Brian when he applied for the Naval Academy in Citadel, where he went to the Citadel. And all along, Pete, Coach Pete, as Brian called him, was a friend of the family and a close friend of Brian. And I just, again, would like to thank the town of Morristown, asking to keep our son Brian and our family in our prayers. And as my wife says, Semper Fi. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have our deepest condolences. I'm sure all of the council members have your family in prayer. So thank you for having the strength to come before us, and thank everybody who was involved in helping make whatever memorable experience for your son, Brian. Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard?
Hi, I'm Lauren Cranmer. I'm the Vice President of Sustainable Morristown, the green team for the town of Morristown. And today I wanted to talk to you, and I'm going to introduce you to our friend and from our partner organization, Citizens Climate Lobby. And I'm going to be talking to you about resolution number R150-2018, the resolution urging the United States Congress to address the climate change by enacting revenue-neutral carbon fee and dividend legislation. But before I get into that, I just want to tell you a little story. I know most of you, but I want to go back to 2012, and I want to go back to Hurricane Sandy. And I know that you all know where you were when that hit. I was packing for Disney in Florida, and I hadn't been there since I was a little kid. And I was really excited. And then Sandy came and flooded my mom's house. And I had to cancel my trip. And ever since then, I've been working really, really hard to get back to Florida and Disneyland, and I haven't been able to make it. Maybe I won't be too old by the time I get back there. But that's my story, and I know you all have a story about something that affected you, and I wanna bring it home because we're feeling the effects of climate change here. That was the first time I felt it, and it hit me emotionally and personally. Sustainable Morristown did a lot after that to rebuild. We worked with Habitat for Humanity up until last year to rebuild homes in the area, and we still are in North Jersey. Are we feeling it like California and Puerto Rico at the present moment, right here, right now? No. But they're predicting stronger, more frequent hurricanes and flooding, and we hear this, and I'm not going to kill you with science, but predicting 2 feet of sea rise within the next 25 years. A 100-year storm is going to be like a 10-year storm, and there's specific health-related issues. 8,000 people are dying from respiratory-related illnesses in New Jersey annually. And so we're seeing these things here. Morristown Medical is seeing more frequent visits from heat-related illnesses than they've seen in the past few decades over the past few years. So I want to put it out there that we are going to continue to see that here. So the climate's changing. I just want to give you a definition from NASA. NASA defines climate change as a broad range of global phenomena created predominantly by burning fossil fuels, which adds heat-trapping gases to the Earth's atmosphere, resulting in sea level rise, warming, species extinction, and extreme weather. The best way to reduce GHG emissions, right? So we have emissions in the air, CO2 being one of the main ones. And the best way, we're agreeing with our partner organization, is to put a price on carbon. The carbon fee and dividend legislation that Rich is going to talk to you a little bit more in depth about the technicalities of that. That legislation, the Citizens Climate Lobby would like Congress to pass. They would like Congress to pass this. It would be business-friendly and market-based. It would which would give it more bipartisan appeal. It's business-friendly because it's a predictable price. It would send businesses and consumers that clear signal that says conserve energy and choose renewable, choose non-carbon sources. Recently, we've gotten, within the past few days actually, we've gotten about 12 Morristown businesses and a number of residents to endorse this. 9 New Jersey towns have already endorsed this same exact type, same verbiage of this type of resolution, including Hoboken, Princeton, Montclair, leaders in the state. And countless countries have passed laws on carbon fee and dividend. And we want Morristown to be proactive about this and be a leader and continue to be a leader. You guys have been a leader with us with the Sustainable Jersey certification. We got silver this year. We will also get points for passing this resolution on the Sustainable Jersey certification as well. So we want to continue that. So the resolution that Richard's going to tell you about in just a minute, it doesn't call out any specifics that we have to do, like a climate action plan might, but it does call for the town to support, generally speaking, the climate fee and dividend. So without any further ado, I want to introduce Richard. He's representing our partner organization, Citizens Climate Lobby of Morristown, the Morristown chapter. He's also the Citizens Climate Lobby liaison for New Jersey's 11th Congressional District. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. So my name is Richard Larson. I live at 20 Baker Road in Livingston, but I'm a member of the Morristown chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby, and I am the liaison to District 11, which means I do a lot of the lobbying in Washington, D.C. So CCL is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots effort. We have about 100,000 members in the United States, and we've been in existence for 10 years. So for 10 years, we've been proposing the exact same solution to the climate crisis, and that is the carbon fee and dividend legislation. So it can be very complex. I have a 2-hour presentation on carbon fee and dividend. I will spare you that. So let me just first tell you why we are here. When we go to Congress, we have one of the largest lobby events in Washington, D.C. by any organization. Last November, we had 1,500 people lobbying Congress at the same time. Many of them are in the back rows there. I came down with us. So when we go into a congressional office, we meet with staff or the actual representative. We're focused on the House of Representatives, by the way. And we're focused on trying to get Republicans to propose this legislation. But the first thing we're always asked is, are constituents behind you, as business behind you? Are the community leaders behind you in this effort? And if this resolution passes, we will have a piece of paper and we'll take it down to Washington, D.C. We've done it with, I helped pass the Essex County resolution. And it really makes an impact for them to hear from their hometown or their district that people are actually interested in this thing. So I can sketch out a little bit about the carbon fee and dividend. Just simply, it puts a price on carbon as it comes out of the ground. The fee would be applied to a minimum number of producers. The money would be collected probably by the U.S. Treasury and be given back to families in form of a dividend check. And the reason why we're proposing the return of the dividend is that a carbon tax, which would be the government taking the money, would be very regressive by itself. Under this program, 2/3 of American families would actually make out better and it would be the lower 2/3 would actually get more money than they would spend on increasing energy costs and product costs. So the money would go towards, helping those families, if they have to buy gasoline, they will actually have more money to do that. But it will also help make the decisions, all these economic decisions on if the price goes up on carbon-based fuels and products, then the decisions will be made, as any economist will tell you, by individuals, and it'll add up to a reduction in carbon emissions because people will be making the decisions based on price. So the third portion of it it can be a lot more complicated, is a border adjustment. And that is, we don't want industry flowing out of the United States to seek cheaper production costs for the material. So we're proposing a tariff. But the thing about that is, the world is already changing. The 8 of the largest world countries are putting a price on carbon already, including China. Canada has one proposed. Europe has several programs. They're not exactly a carbon tax, but they are a pricing mechanism that uses the marketplace.
Mr. Larson?
Yes.
Is that your final point that you wanted to bring forward to
I'm not going to go much further. But I'm just going to say, please support the resolution. Help us create the political will to pass this through Congress in the coming years.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
If there are no other comments.
Suzanne Warren. I live at 31 Western Avenue, and I'll be as brief and straightforward as I can be. I sent a letter
What was your
recently.
address again for the record, please?
Pardon me?
What was your address again for the record?
31 Western Avenue in town. Years ago, I came to the council and asked that there be a change in the parking regulations on Fridays. We had to move every Friday, for the whole morning for street cleaning. And it was passed so that now we only have to move for 2 hours twice a month. That really enhanced the quality of life in our neighborhood. So now I'm asking for 3 things. We live near the courthouse. The courthouse gets a lot of business and traffic, and those people who are attending the courthouse, many of them park on Western Avenue. I won't go line by line through my letter, but I will say that staff at the courthouse park on Western Avenue. Today, at least 5 cars of people, full-time employees at the courthouse, were on Western Avenue. People who are attending the court, defendants, attorneys, DYFS workers, park on Western Avenue, and other out of courthouse complex state employees. So I'm asking for parking to be restricted just to Western Avenue. So parking by permit, such as the neighborhoods around Morristown Medical Center and the Mayo Performing Arts Center have. They have restrictive parking that gives precedence and preference to their residents. So I'm asking for that for Western. That would greatly enhance the quality of life. I know that they have a 2-hour parking limit, but the state employees who park there go out routinely and move their cars so that their tires rotate and they don't seem as if they're violating the restrictions. So the 2-hour restrictions really are ineffective. So that's one thing. And then 2, Western Avenue and a lot of the streets in Morristown are used as cut-throughs by people coming from on Route 24, from Randolph, Mendham, wherever, and they turn to avoid the lights on Washington Street. So my second request would be no right turn off Scherzer, Burnham, Hillcrest, Western, for the hours of 7 to 9, Monday through Friday. I know Morris Township as well as Morris Plains protect their neighborhoods in that way. For example, all the neighborhoods off Speedwell Avenue have that restriction, so I'd ask the same here. And thirdly, many of the homes on Western Avenue do not have driveways. We park on the opposite side of the street. It's dangerous because there are no pedestrian crossings between Ann Street and Searing Avenue. So I would ask that pedestrian crossing signs, such as we have on Court Street, be placed along Western Avenue so that motorists are more aware that pedestrians are going to cross. They're not going to go all the way down to Ann Street or Searing. They're going to cross where their cars are, with pets, with children, with groceries. I have a disabled husband. It's hard for him to cross the street sometimes. So putting pedestrian crossings and not letting the streets be a cut-through by having that restriction in the morning would greatly reduce traffic and make it safer for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy, you're up. Oh, I'm sorry. I called the gentleman to my left first. You can come after Billy.
Good evening. My name is Bill Byrne. I live at 100 Franklin Street, Morristown, and I'm here to talk about accessible parking. Now, I don't know how strict Morristown is here, but I tell you what, I lived in Morris Plains. And Morris Plains law enforcement, they're very strict about that. Like, I seen a car at a parking space by where the Burger King is, but there is like a bunch of stores, and they have accessible parking there. Now, I checked this car out. It didn't have a placard like hanging down. It didn't have a placard on the dashboard. And it didn't have a placard on the license. And I think we got to get tough on that, because people got to realize that that's where, anybody that needs that type of parking. And so say if somebody's in a wheelchair and one of the vans have to pull up in there, well, guess what? Then they can't park there, and they got to park far away. So I think law enforcement got to be strict in that area, because I'll tell you what, Morris Plains is. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, Bill.
Good evening. I'm Dan Callis, the president of TransOptions. We're the nonprofit transportation management association that covers all of Northwest New Jersey.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Callis, C-A-L-L-A-S.
And the address?
26 Mountain Avenue, Cedar Knolls. You probably have seen our name around. We helped lead the Street Smart Pedestrian Safety campaign in town. Morristown is also a New Jersey Smart Workplace, which is an award that we administer recognizing employers for the work they do for their employees in terms of transportation options. In addition to that, we are also looking at implementing a bike share system stretching between Morristown and Madison, including Morris Township in that stretch. And we wanted to address the council this evening and talk about sort of where that project stands, what we're looking at, and then ask for your support on that project. And this is Emily Casey from our office.
Hi, I'm Emily Casey. I'm the bicycle programs coordinator at TransOptions. We are proposing...
You have to put your address on the record as well.
Sure. It's 33 Broad Street and 3 Bridges. And we're proposing a 150 bike 15 hub system that will stretch linearly across the downtown areas of Madison and Morristown. And we're really looking to connect the first and last mile for not only people to use for a commute option, but also just around town and for recreation purposes. And so really hoping to draw attention to the traction line, which already connects via New Jersey Transit. Definitely looking to put hubs near local businesses and, of course, New Jersey Transit stations. Really wanted to focus on what bike share can bring to your community, your town. There's lots of research that is coming out with how bike share not only supports health and wellness of communities, but of course sustainability aspects of taking more cars off the road to reduce carbon emissions, and perhaps most importantly, economic vitality to your local downtown businesses. And so a few white pages went around. I just wanted to pinpoint a few important things I found on here. So data is showing that cyclist customers spend more money in areas, bars, restaurants, and storefronts. And in Minneapolis, specifically, researchers calculated that the Nice Ride annual members created an additional $150,000 in economic activity at local businesses. Local businesses will have an opportunity to brand station signing. Just gives you a really unique advertising, like rolling advertisement that is very different than print and other advertising options available. And one of my favorite icons, I'm looking at the bike share bringing business, that picture of the car, and there's lots of concern potentially that bike share stations will cut down on parking availability, but you can see that most likely would not be the case, but you can park up to 8 bikes where you would park 1 car. So if you think about the additional members using that space, community members using that space to come visit your downtown area, whereas 1 driver in 1 car versus 8 parking spots for bikes. The last sheet that we provided is our sponsorship tiers. So I should take a step back and say that in order to provide the subscription, we're going with the Gotcha Group, which is leading North American bike share company. They have systems all throughout the U.S., and they specialize in light urban, suburban areas that really think about bringing local colleges and universities into downtowns. And so we chose to go with them not only because of their specialty and kind of the size and location that we're in, but also their access to data, and they're really smart at bike technology. And so with Gotcha Group, we would be receiving live ridership data that we would be sharing with municipalities that point on calories burned, carbon emissions, captured, and we can pinpoint exactly where riders are going on bikes. Just to go through the sponsorship opportunities briefly. Oh, okay.
You
have the sheet.
Right.
You can look.
We have the information.
Okay,
and
fantastic.
if you want to do a more thorough presentation, you can just reach out to our clerk's office and we can try to get you scheduled on the agenda so you can do a full presentation where you have a little bit more time to.
We'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
To share your plan. Thank you. Okay, do we have one more from the public? Marge, you're up.
Margaret Brady, 1 Franklin Place. I'm the second Franklin Corners resident here tonight who wants to sing the praises of Morristown, its citizens, and the police and the fire and all those people who just come to the aid of its citizens. If you want to be in a place where you feel welcome and comforted in your time of need, Morristown is the place to live. I can't list how many people to thank because I was so overwhelmed with the kindness and the thoughtfulness of my friends, my neighbors, the administration, and everyone who came to help. And I would just like it to go in your records of the town of Morristown that you have a wonderful community with a big heart. On the other hand, I'm going to review, following the Brady tradition. I noticed that you have a contract with AHS for their ambulance service. And one of the shocks during the period where my husband was ill and fortunately had good medical coverage, and we were managing pretty well. But one of the expenses that really annoyed me was that AHS charged us $250 that beyond what they got from our medical coverage. I think their total charge was $800 when we lived 2 blocks from the hospital. And the last time we called the ambulance, we didn't call the ambulance. The nurse called just to confirm that my husband was dead. He didn't need the ambulance. I think maybe you could negotiate with the hospital, since they, in many ways, benefit from being located in Morristown with the backup of our police and our fire and our public services, that perhaps calls to residents could be at a reduced rate. We had to go further places with other ambulance services, and we weren't charged nearly as much. So AHS seems to have found a little lucrative hook here, and perhaps I should warn other Morristown residents that if they call 911 and get the emergency, the hospital's going to send the ambulance out whether they need it or not, and they're going to have to pay for it. Going on down the line, I also noticed that you're renting parking spaces in the town hall lot, which is one of my pet peeves. When you initially started charging for those spaces, the money was intended to be dedicated to the maintenance and improvement of the lot. And I would beg each person sitting at this table, the next time you come to a council meeting, park on Franklin Street or Franklin Place. I've got lots of room in my yard. Some of you can park there and walk to Town Hall and see how difficult it is for a pedestrian to get from Franklin Street to Town Hall through a lot that isn't lit, where there's no pedestrian walkway. There's a pedestrian access, but no path marked for the pedestrian to walk on, so they have to weave in and out between the cars and the potholes and all the other problems.
Marge, you have final remarks?
One final remark is, when you have extra money in your budget, the First Ward has had the least money spent on its recreation and parking facilities. And there are other places that need it. As a trustee of Willow Hall, we have been undertaking, trying to get some help to clean up Speedwell Lake. And we're getting a number of organizations and trying to see if the town can get grants. There are grants available because the lake has been almost consumed by lily pads, and they're invasive, and if they're not removed, their fish will no longer be able to live there, and there's very little space left for the birds as it is.
Thank you, Marge.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. All right, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing. And I'd ask if there are any council responses to any of the public hearing comments, starting with you, Councilwoman Deeb.
Thank you. On the resident that came out from Western Avenue, I know we got a letter today or an email. So I guess I just would like to ask administration, it's come up before the cut-through there. I think the last resident that came to council was Peter Tamburo, and he was talking about the problems with cut-through on Bud Street. And I just would like to ask what, I know that the traffic study that we were doing was going to be looking at that. So she did mention in her letter as well, other streets other than Bud Street, Schwerzer and Hillcrest. And so is that something that you're looking into right now as a result of the traffic?
I received the letter this afternoon as well, so we'll review it internally with engineering and come up with a response.
Okay. And the parking permits on Western, so the issue apparently is that people that live on Western can't park there because there's not enough parking. So is it possible to institute parking guidelines and restrictions like what we have in other parts of town?
That's something I'll also review with engineering and the police department to determine a response.
Okay. And about the driveways and the pedestrian crosswalks, is it possible to do crosswalks there, or is that a mid-block?
Another review for the engineering department.
Okay, so when could we expect a response back?
Well, I just got the letter today, so, so, it'll give us a few weeks and we'll be able to get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council responses to public
No, I
comments?
think we can pull Resolution 150 and discuss the Citizens Climate Lobby. Consider the resolution. Okay. So
Yeah, when we get to
I will
res-
comment on it now.
Okay, yeah.
On Bill's comment with reference to the parking placards, I can actually raise it with the parking authority also, because they do a lot of the enforcement and a lot of the lots, and maybe they can help out.
These talking about the Burger King lot, so our acting chief is not here, but we do have an officer in the back, I'm sure he'll relay it, Officer Doyle. Please relay to your sergeant, to relay to the lieutenant and captain, to make sure that the handicap accessible parking spaces are enforced and that people have actual placards and are legally parked. Yes, sir.
And then I don't know if we're going to hear more from Trans Options with reference to the bike sharing program later today.
I have some comments on that one.
We do? Good. Because I think the concern that we're going to have and the interest we're going to have is where are the stations?
we'll talk about it.
Okay, good. Good. And that's all.
Any other comments from council members on public hearing? All right, moving on to mayor's proclamations and presentation. Yes.
I don't see Dwight.
He had an emergency, so you'll have to put up with us tonight. I'm Gwendolyn Rippey, Community Health Manager, Atlantic Health System, Morristown Medical Center.
I'm Cheryl Ann Dorsey, Logistics Chair for Health Day.
Maria Vargas from St. Margaret, part of the Community Health Day Steering Committee.
Ana Del Rio from St. Margaret Church for the Community Health Day.
Cindy Flowers, I'm a member of the Morristown chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Yeah, you want to put the flyers out? I'm going to let Dwight know it took 5 women to come up here.
Big shoes to fill.
And big shoes to fill, because Dwight has been doing this for a long time. So this is a proclamation, Health Day, something that we deem to be very important, especially in the world of health, and early detection and getting tested for different things. So I'm going to read this into the record, and then. Whereas the 23rd Annual Community Health Day will be held at Headquarters Plaza in Morristown, New Jersey, on Saturday, September 8th, 2018, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Whereas the town of Morristown has a vital interest in the health of its residents in promoting healthy, productive living, and whereas health education, disease prevention, health promotion are essential components of health and wellness. And whereas Community Health Day has continued to promote the health of the residents of Morristown, providing sound health promotion, disease prevention interventions, in a fun-filled, family-focused event. Now therefore, I, Timothy P. Doherty, Mayor of the Town of Morristown, hereby proclaim Saturday, September 8th, 2018 as Community Health Day in the Town of Morristown in recognition of its importance in promoting a better health status for all of Morristown residents through sound health education principles and proven health promotion interventions.
Picture?
Come get a picture, don't go anywhere. Come. Get a picture.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We have the flyers going around for everyone else, but just a couple of words real quick. As we said, Dwight could not be here. He had an emergency. Big shoes to fill. He's done this for many years, and he is actually our chair for the Community Health Day Steering Committee. So I'm going to read briefly, to keep it brief. So a brief history, Dwight asked me to share with you. In recognition of September being Minority Health Month in New Jersey, the Church of God in Christ and Morristown Medical Center co-sponsored the first Family Day of Wellness back in 1996 to include health education, health screenings, inspirational and fun activities for the community. Now, 23 years later, it's still one way the medical center brings to the community health and education, and the way we try to build healthier communities for the town of Morristown and the surrounding area. Just to give you an example, last year we had about 300 people who received 650 screenings, and that was these are free screenings we provided from the medical center. Vision, hearing, foot screenings, and I know the mayor's been there, and it's pretty amazing. Blood pressure, cholesterol, all the screenings that we provide. The annual Community Health Day is held yearly at the Hyatt, and the Hyatt provides that free space for us at Headquarters Plaza. The funding for this is from the Foundation of Morristown Medical Center, and we want to thank them for that funding that we do this every year. And Cheryl Ann would like to have a few comments too.
I want to thank you on behalf of the steering committee. As logistics chair, and the committee, we represent 13 faith-based churches, civic and social organizations serving Morris County. In addition to the 70 exhibitors who are wellness organizations and agencies, we believe in starting wellness young. So in addition to the Children's Pavilion, we'll also host a teen hub this year, as well as have senior resources. And we'll also host again the 1 Mile Walkathon that begins at Goriab Children's Center to Headquarters Plaza. In addition, we'll have music, fitness demos, and gift basket giveaways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. What exactly do you do for a foot screening?
We have our podiatrists actually donate their time when they come in. And
To look at the feet?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially if someone has diabetes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor.
It's very, very crucial that you get your feet checked often when you have diabetes.
So we provide education around diabetes for foot screenings also.
Okay.
And we get,
You must talk to me online. I know a little bit about it.
Again, the screenings are free and from the medical center, and our staff and doctors and nurses will be there donating their time, so please invite everyone to come out.
Thank you for all the work that you do for our community. We appreciate it. Moving on to a report of mayor and town
Okay,
officials. So you're gonna do your-
I want to follow up with Councilman Iannacone, and Councilman Armington, I know is a big bike guy. I've had a few inquiries from outside agencies that are interested in doing bike share. Transoption just came in and just gave the stuff and left. So there's been several inquiries. And the question that Councilman Iannacone immediately alluded to was, where are you going to put them? Where are you going to stage them? Where are you going to put 150 bikes? Where it's not so easily cut and dry. There was one agency we talked to that actually has a program, it was interesting, that you take the bike, and if you take it home from the train station, you leave it at your house. It's dockless. And then somebody else can pick it up, and it's pretty ingenious. And it's big in China, it's big in Europe, and it's one of the leading in the world. So there are interested in the people in the bike share. I know the bigger cities are, from Washington to Jersey City to I don't know if Newark implements a bike share. I know Jersey City does. So it's something we're looking at, but I think a lot more planning has to go into something like that, on locations, how it actually works. So we will take all that into consideration and include the council's input on if we do a bike share. Marge Brady. Okay, so there's a couple of things with the ambulance. One is I don't think they can send you another bill after they charge your insurance. I don't know if there was a deductible that needed to be met. I don't know the whole history. I'm going to inquire with the legal into our agreement. I don't think they're allowed to back charge once they charge the insurance company and send you another bill. We're going to inquire about that. And also, I believe that if you don't have insurance, they do not pursue you legally to get paid. So that was an agreement. So we know that part is being upheld because a lot of people use ambulance, don't have insurance, don't have any way of paying it. So we're going to look into why the Bradys were charged and make sure that they weren't back charged after insurance was paid. So we'll look into that because that is a behavior that I don't think any hospital should be engaged in. So we will get an answer to that very, very quickly. I think those are the two main questions. We talked about the parking spaces that need to be enforced, especially it's wrong when somebody doesn't have a placard and they just take a handicapped space. It's something that should be enforced and should be enforced often. Because I know I've said it to some people when they park, I don't see a placard, and they go, well, I'm just running in. I'm like, you really shouldn't park there. Okay, so on that note, I'll just run down this as fast as possible because we're a little behind on tonight's meeting. Real quickly, I want to recognize all the people that worked hard on the George Granby Day, which was Saturday, July 14th. It was very well attended. Sunday the 15th, Marge touched on it. It was a really great turnout for Wendell Brady's Celebration of Life at Willow Hall. I was glad I was able to participate in that and see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while, and it was very well attended, and Wendell will be really missed. Those who experienced the Verizon 5K on the 19th can speak for that, experience themselves. Me Morristown was another success on the 26th. Central Biblical, Councilman Silva's not here, but that was also, he had his festival on the green. The 28th was very well attended. And Calvary just had its annual Family Day, Fun Day picnic at Granby Park, which was really well attended. So those were all successful events. On Wednesday, August 8th, which is tomorrow, 3 to 6 p.m. Grow Green pop-up stand, various locations. There's an attachment on here. Okay, so at the neighborhood house, is going to be August 8th, the neighborhood house at 18 or 12 Flagler. Then there's different dates. So do you guys have this flyer?
I didn't see it.
So we can get this to the flyers, get it on our website, get it on our Facebook site. But for the 8th, it's at the neighborhood house. So get this to the clerk so they can distribute. And that's pretty cool, in the local pop-up farm stand. For those who missed it, I had my first walk and talk. We had a few residents come out, which was kind of interesting. It's going to be Wednesdays, 6 a.m., the third Wednesday every month, so those have to get up early for a walk. It was about an hour and a half. It was very interesting. We had a scheduled hike, which a number of people had signed up for this Saturday, but the weather wasn't cooperative, so we couldn't do that. But there'll be more hikes in the future, and that is all for our wellness campaign. So those who want to get out and do some walking and find out some inside stuff, what's going on with the town, get some firsthand from the mayor, watch the website. Okay. August 9th, 10 to 3 at Ledgerwood, March for Our Lives event, Road to Change. So if you're not working, you have time to swing by Ledgerwood, swing by. Senior picnic, well, that's the 15th, so anybody who wants to come from the council, come say hi to our seniors in our senior center. That's the 15th at noon. Thursday, the 16th, St. Margaret's Church Carnival begins. It's a great little carnival. St. Margaret's, it's a big 4-day thing for St. Margaret's. It helps them with their finances. I'm glad they worked out some logistic issues they had, and that's on the 16th. It starts the 16th. Now, mark your calendars. The 18th, it's our Jazz and Blues Festival. Noontime on the Green till 10 at night. It's free. Come and enjoy the day. It's a lot of fun. So that's the 18th. The 24th, at the Neighborhood House, from noon to 5, there will be a community blood drive in recognition of Darlene Starnes Day celebration. That's community blood drive at noon to 5 at the Morristown Neighborhood House. That's August 24th. The 30th, I will be away for the Meet Me in Morristown. That's 30th. And the 31st is a vigil memorial for overdose awareness at the Green. That's Friday, the 31st, from noon to 3 p.m. Will anybody be here the 31st on Friday? That could attend? I won't be able to attend.
I'll try to go.
Okay.
Shoot it up.
All right, we'll shoot you the information. Also, Sunday, the 2nd is Bethel Back to School Community Block Party at Bishop Nazarene Way. That's Sunday at noon to 5, the 2nd. September 8th, there's a lot going on because we don't have another meeting until September. September 8th, 9 a.m. Community Health Day, which we just announced. We have an 11 to 3 p.m. Green Faith event on Town Hall front steps. It's about movement for climate, jobs, and justice. And a 1 p.m. grand opening, if you can make it, to the new Amante Vino. It's the new wine store on South Street. For those wine lovers, it's an amazing store. I mean, it is wall-to-wall wine for those people who love wine. And they have a store in Montclair. And now they have opened up here in Morristown, and we're very happy. And then the big one is September 9th. That is our Grand Fondo, about 3,000 cyclists in our downtown. We're hoping that the governor's back from Italy and paying attention to this podcast or to the cable, that we need Speedwell Avenue fixed up a little bit before this race, but we're calling them weekly. Yeah, I'm not done yet. I got. Okay, get emergency alerts. Alert Mars. Did you guys get this in your packet?
Not yet.
You got it.
I don't have that.
From the county.
From the county?
I'll resend.
Okay.
You need to get this. You need to get it out to your people. You could sign up for Alert Morris. It gets alerts for your town and Morris County. Receive alerts via text, voice, or email. I think it's pretty good to get this countywide alerts on social media, Twitter, Facebook. Follow Morris County online on Twitter.com, Morris County, New Jersey, Facebook.com, Morris County, New Jersey, Instagram.com. We'll post this. It's on our website. We'll make sure it gets on our Facebook, but it's something you guys should be aware of to get it out to your constituents. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about, and kind of goes into somewhat with sustainable, talked about climate change, or that gentleman from, who's a lobbyist. Now, I don't know those who are aware who were in town Friday, but we got hit with something that the fire chief's in the back. Chief, why don't you come up here for a second? We got hit with something. I'm going to say it was a tornado. They're not saying what it was. Microburst, wind shear. It had to be 70-mile-an-hour winds, if not more. Trees, poles, electric ripped off of houses, backyards destroyed. There's a timeline video that I think is posted, right? We're going to post it on somebody's neighborhood. It was disaster from James Street through the historic neighborhood, through the central run down Miller Road, all the way through Vale Mansion, all the way down to Flagler. People were out of power for 2 days. We got most everybody up. I want to publicly commend the DPW crew that worked feverishly from the first tree that went across our state road at 2:30 in the afternoon, or whenever it was, with a show coming to impact the night. That whole crew, with no help from DOT, and we called DOT, and they were promised they were going to come up, no help. They got that tree removed from that street. It took about 4 hours. And it was amazing. And then they went to the next street, and the next street, and the next street, and the next street. And then they cleared, when they killed the power, they cleared the trees. Fire department, police department. You know, we all know, wish we could hire 50 more people in each department. I'll put up our people against any town in this county. Our DPW tree crew, and the ones that the laborers and the truck drivers and the equipment operators, they're to be commended along with the fire and police. But those DPW guys, unless you were there on the ground, you can't appreciate what they did. Am I right, Chief?
Right, absolutely. These guys were nonstop, like the mayor just said, from tree to tree to tree to tree in Morristown, from 2:30 in the afternoon until about 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, they were nonstop.
I mean, I'm on Flagler at midnight and it's raining, and these guys are out there. It was amazing. And then it didn't end there. I mean, poles had to be replaced, low voltage in a whole street. There was issues everywhere. So when they talk about climate change, for those who don't want to hear it or don't believe in it, believe it. It's like tropical weather we're dealing with now. You see it outside. These storms are violent. They come out of nowhere. It was not on anybody's radar. It's a car got crushed by that tree going across by St. Peter's. That kid, 17-year-old, walked away from that. If you saw that truck, you'd have said, how did anybody walk away from that? And he walked away from it. So it was amazing. And there was a report. There was a guy watching out the window, the storm at Vail Mansion. He had a chair next to the window. He got up for a second. When he walked away from the chair, part of the tree came through the window. So it was serious stuff going on with that small burst of what? How many minutes?
Could only been maybe like 3.
Right? You know, so, you know, we're not getting any reports saying, you know, Queens had a tornado touchdown. So it's not, I think, out of the realm to think that we had some type of small tornado touchdown in Morristown. And I just wanted to put it on the record, all those departments, it was just amazing. And the residents, how they thanked and what they saw, their tax dollars at work. And they should be commended. And they will be commended, and we'll make sure that we'll do something special for everybody that was involved in that two-day issue. And then as of Sunday morning, they were putting a pole back on Franklin. They got the pole back on Collis, but several houses had their electric ripped off their houses, and it was not a good thing. It was a bad thing. We lost a lot of trees. So that's I'm going to end there, but we're going to have to start talking about the trees. We're going to have to start figuring out trees that are right next to intersections and roadways, even though they're on private property. Work with the public on making sure these trees are healthy, even though the one at St. Pete's was healthy. It looked healthy, but it may have been a root issue. Like the roots had just, you know, didn't have a place they were, because I couldn't believe the size of the tree and how little roots there were. So, we have some work to do, because I think these storms are going to get worse and worse. And I don't know if Allison or somebody touched about it, this heat wave. Portugal people are dying, Sweden people are dying, China people are dying. This heat wave that is affecting parts of our world is just, it's scorching our earth. And I'm no scientist, you know, but if we don't really, you know, get our act together, I mean, we do here, but nationally, you know, we're just not there. You know, we're just not there on the environmental and what we need. You know, we'll do our part, and I know third world countries are struggling. And what happens when all of a sudden China wants air conditioning all over the country, and the fossil fuels, and how much Europe lacks in energy grids, like compared to what we have. There's just so much that I think that at a local level that we take a stand and do whatever we can to make our voices heard, that this is a serious issue, climate change, and people shouldn't be in denial about it. That's it. That's my rant for tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Moving on to council liaison reports.
Parking Authority did meet since our last meeting. They actually reviewed the audited financial statements for the year-end 2017. The auditors did point out some general ledger issues which are in the process of being addressed by the Parking Authority. We did advise that the Parking Authority was going to be here to present a plan sometime over the summer with reference to Lot 10. They still have the engineers and the architects working on it, so probably won't be until sometime in the fall. And finally, they did present their annual report, and what I'll do, I'll scan it and send it to the council members through Margo.
Thank you.
So the Environmental Commission is meeting tonight? So it's the first Tuesday, but the Foots Pond exhibit is going on until the end of the month. So if you haven't checked that out, it's going on in the library, in the Kirby Gallery until the end of the month. And just in the previous agenda point with the other presentations and reports, did the Office of Code Enforcement have a chance to look at the hedgerows on Bud Street? At the last council meeting, there was an issue of whether or not that was a citation or a violation due to site distance.
Both Code Enforcement and Public Works met with, Ms. Riley on Bud Street and addressed her concerns.
So they've been resolved?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, no, anything?
Yeah, on the 23rd, there was a Housing Authority meeting. The mayor was there with me. One of the things that we joked about was the fact that the new director, he was so like on point that we didn't even know what was happening. He had like a whole packet. I left my packet at home. I wanted to bring it. But it just showed pictures of different things that were wrong in the community that they were working on right away. You know, he was explaining things that they could afford to take up right away, things that they had to wait on. I mean, it was so informative. And I've also gotten word that he has hired a couple local guys who had been trying to get jobs and couldn't get jobs. So I really feel like the new director is really making a serious effort to, do the job. And there were like no complaints at the meeting.
They actually clapped.
They literally clapped. And there's one lady who comes to all the meetings and she always has something to like contribute that will make you like cringe. And she's literally said nothing. We're like, we're going to put this in the record because you've never not had something to say. So everyone, seems to be really pleased with his effort. The word around is that he's out and about. I see him out all the time. Everybody looks like they're working a little bit harder. I think it was a good move.
And he's filled a lot of the vacancies.
He has.
There was a lot of vacancies when he took over, and there shouldn't have been.
I think it was 17, and now they're down to like 4.
It was 30-something.
Well, 17 in Manahan,
Yeah.
and like 5 at Ann.
And he's getting them ready, getting them filled, getting people housing that's needed. So it was
What's his name?
Keith Kennard.
Yep. You got a good one.
I think we got a winner.
Yep.
All right, moving on to regular business items.
Okay, we have 4 ordinances for introduction this evening. Ordinance 27-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-40.2, handicap parking on streets for private residences, to amend the placard number assigned to a dedicated parking space for a resident on Cobb Place. May I have a motion for introduction?
I'll make a motion to introduce.
I'll second.
Comments from council members?
Okay, hearing no questions. I lost my place. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
The motion carries. Ordinance 27-2018 will be considered for final adoption on September 11th, 2018. Ordinance number 28-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 Traffic.
Oh, I'll move it.
I'll second.
I have a question. So on this ordinance, we are amending and we're adding, can you just explain what, I had a couple of questions. And so we're prohibiting truck traffic on Speedwell Place because it's causing traffic delays, but the streets on page that are outlined here, those are streets that 4-ton trucks can travel on?
Correct.
So Blockley Place, that's a really narrow street in front of the town restaurant.
Correct.
A 4-ton truck could turn on there and turn on to
Elm Street.
Elm Street?
Yeah, they would have to. I don't think you can make the right is too tight at the corner. That's why there's that slip lane
Right,
through there.
well, that's
yeah.
why that turn is there.
Yeah, I see
It
trucks
just seems
go
like
through
a
all the time.
really narrow street.
No, it's not. It's fine for a truck to get through.
Okay.
Yep.
And then when it says in Ann Street, the entire length of Ann Street, that's a very steep street for a 4-ton truck, isn't it?
I'm not an engineer, but that's what our ordinance provides, and, so I'm sure all of those issues were looked into when Ann Street was added to the list.
So if a tractor trailer's delivering, say, to Whole Foods, and they're coming from Morris, and how would they get to that delivery? Just hypothetical.
Bad with directions also.
So who
really
can
is.
answer of the town, of the administration?
Not sure what you're
They
asking.
go Morris or around the green, down Washington, and into Whole Foods.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so why isn't South Park Place or North Park Place on these streets as well?
There's state roads.
State roads,
You can't keep trucks off of state roads.
So that's permitted. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, on the introduction of ordinance 28-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 28-2018 has been introduced properly and will be considered for final adoption on
That's true.
September 11, 2018. Ordinance number 29-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 40.2, handicap parking on streets for private residences to add dedicated handicap parking space for a resident of 10 Logan Place.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
I'll second it.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Sorry, Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Ordinance 29-2018 has been introduced properly and will be considered for final adoption on September 11, 2018. Ordinance 30-2018, ordinance reappropriating $72,500 proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purpose in order to provide for resurfacing and repairs to the Burnham Park main pool in and by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I have a question.
Let me
Have
make
a motion to
first
introduce, please?
Can I
Motion?
get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Question?
Will this impact the monies that we are to use to make repairs on Caldwell Playground?
No.
Okay, that's the only question.
On the introduction of ordinance 30-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman
Ye-
Deeb?
yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 30-2018 has been introduced properly and will be considered for final adoption on September 11, 2018. We have one ordinance for adoption and public hearing and adoption this evening. Ordinance 26-2018, ordinance authorizing the lease of up to 140 parking spaces on a month-to-month basis at 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Can I ask a question? So there's 140.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Oh, can I?
Going to do the public hearing first?
Oh,
They have to introduce it, then we come.
sure. Absolutely.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for ordinance number 0-26-2018. Any members of the public wishing to be heard on this ordinance this evening? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing portion. Now I'd like to ask council members for any comments or questions.
Sorry about the outburst. So I guess we heard it during the public hearing that the monies for the parking rental spaces were to be earmarked for improvements, but I don't see that in the ordinance. Should we be outlining that in the ordinance?
Well, I'm going to have to actually find that somewhere. I don't ever remember reading that, but we'll look it up.
Okay, so it says that there's 140 spaces. Do we always use lease 140 spaces?
That's been the lease that's been in place, at least for the last 3 years that I've been here.
And we always,
But not,
Not the 140 spaces.
do we always lease the 140?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't lease, we don't, it's the 140 spaces that are available and people can bid on it, but that's not how many spaces actually get leased.
So do we know how many spaces that get leased on an annual basis?
40, around 40.
Around 40, okay. And so it says the minimum price is 80. Is that the going price, or is it usually more, or what is the range of the bids?
That is well, last time when we went out, we received no bids. So this is the second time we're going out, and the prior tenant that we had paid 80, so we're sticking to that number.
Okay.
And the only reason we're redoing all of this is because of the medical building that was sold to a new owner, and the lease does not allow them to transfer their lease of the parking spaces to the new owner, so we have to go through the whole thing.
Okay. So how would we go about earmarking funds for town hall parking improvements since we're adopting this ordinance? Would we have to reintroduce it and then amend it at a later time?
It wouldn't be an ordinance. This is simply
It wouldn't have to be a
allowing-
part of the ordinance? Okay.
All right.
On the adoption of ordinance 26-2018, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Ordinance 26-2018 is hereby adopted. We have 13 resolutions on the agenda for adoption this evening. Would any member of council like one or any of those pulled for separate consideration?
Councilman Iannacone, you wanted to pull R-150, right?
150 and 152?
Could I pull 144 and 147?
Okay, then I would ask for a motion to approve resolution numbers 140.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Also 154.
So this would be a motion to approve 142, 143, 145, 149 through,
146.
did I forget 146? Okay, and then 149 through,
No, 149, 151, 153, 150, and 155.
155, what she
So I'd like
said.
to make a motion to approve those resolutions.
All of that.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, let's see, so, Resolution 144-2018, resolution awarding contract for payroll services. Councilwoman Deeb?
So the contract had 3 bids. One is from Prime Point for $38,872. One is for Unicorn HRO for $48,103. And another bid is for Isana Tax LLC for $123,000. So my question is how come there's such a discrepancy between the first two bidders and the third, and it just raises a question in my mind why that is so much different from the other two.
Bids were received. These are, I can't answer as to why they bid what they bid. The third one, which was $123,000, they were an out-of-state company. I mean, maybe that had something to do with it.
Now, are we changing payroll services?
Yes, currently we have Paychex.
So why are we changing the payroll services?
We are looking to expand our services so that we have time and attendance and other HR services.
Okay. No, it just seemed odd to me when I saw that number because it was such an outlier that and usually when you see such an outlier like that, it makes you wonder, are the other two accurate? And what is this one providing that the other two aren't? Or what are the other two doing that the highest bidder isn't? So could you maybe expand a little bit more on the difference in the proposals, or?
We don't know why they're higher. We did compare the proposals, and they were responsive to what was requested. So there's no real clear understanding as to why they're so much different. I will say that the lower bids are more in line with what we anticipated seeing for price quotes. So the third one is certainly an outlier.
What did we spend previously?
Our current budget is $44,000.
So what have we spent, like, in the past year on payroll services?
I can look that up for you. I don't have that at my fingertips. but
Okay.
Approximately $40,000.
Approximately 40,000? So, so in this case, you're recommending the Prime Point because it's the lowest responsible bidder?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
On the adoption of
I'd like to
resolution.
make a motion to approve Resolution R-144-2018.
Second?
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 147, 2018, resolution awarding bid to Blue Dream Pool for resurfacing a Caldwell Pool and furnishing and installing a new pool cover for Caldwell Pool.
So my question.
You are jumping ahead of
my-
us a lot this evening. I'd like to make
there
a
a hearing
motion
on
to
this one?
approve.
I usually do that, not you. That's usually me.
Questions or comments from council members?
There's no hearing on this one. So just quick question on this, that we have Blue Dream Pool and Preferred Pool, but for Caldwell Pool, we have All-State Technology. Did you is there any reason why you're going with two different vendors? Wouldn't we be able to get more efficiencies if we went with the same vendor, or?
You're talking about the cover versus the resurfacing?
Aren't they
Or
both resurfacing, or no?
You're saying the Burnham Park project versus the Caldwell Pool?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at
They're
150.
bid as separate projects, so we're going with the lowest cost bidder for each project.
Okay. No, it just seemed like if we went maybe with the same bidder, we could have gotten maybe more efficiencies or economies of scale, or?
If that were the case, then their bid would have been more competitive for both projects, but that's not the case.
Did we get bids from these other companies for the other?
We requested bids from as many contractors as we could, and the bids that we received are reflected in the
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Councilman Armington?
We already did the motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 150-2018, resolution urging the United States Congress to address climate change by enacting revenue-neutral carbon fee and dividend legislation. Can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. Second. Questions or comments from council members?
You know, I actually asked that this be pulled. I agree wholeheartedly with the mayor with all of our concern, and I think voting for this does not fly in the face of any of the general beliefs of our constituencies, because when we vote, we're actually voting for our constituencies, and I'm certain our constituencies agree that climate change is becoming more and more of a problem. What I do have a problem with, and I'm going to vote for it anyway, but what I do have a problem with is that we actually are voting on the next step, which is actually, do you tax producers? Do you tax users? How is it done? And I do think that you have to have a lot of dialogue on that. I think that the advocacy for that is at the state and particularly at the federal level. And I wholeheartedly support all of you because I think this is definitely a concern and this is needed. So I am going to vote for it, but I'm bringing up the point because sometimes when you come to a council, you take it to the next step, which is really kind of out of our purview, and is actually somewhat out of our level of intelligence, level of the information that we have. We don't know the details on taxation. We don't know the details on how the monies are going to be used. Should the monies be used for remediation rather than dividends back to people? Should the government be able to hold the money to put into health care for people with asthma? Can you be buying more properties that are in danger zones such as flood zones? Those are kind of like beyond our decision. And I do think that the problem I have with what you propose here is for a legislative body such as the town council, you take it one step too far. But I'm going to vote for it because you guys need all the muscle you can get to move this forward. The second thing I want to say about this is that come back with suggestions as to what we should be doing locally. We've shown our support for reducing our carbon footprint twice now. We've done it with the support for the Paris Accord, back when the Paris Accord was being sidetracked, and now we'll be doing it again today, I think. I don't know for a fact, but I think we will be. But what should we be doing locally? One of the things that was suggested in the past is that we do an evaluation, because we're not doing it for the points, okay? We're not doing it for the points. We actually want to do it to say, what can we do locally? Maybe you should go to the Environmental Commission and start talking with the Environmental Commission about what we should be doing locally that could help what we can do ourselves.
They have.
I'm glad you pulled this because it was on my list of things to get pulled as well. So in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh whereas, this is where I think we could probably start. And it talks about the study that was done and that the CFE&D policy would lead to a reduction in carbon emissions to 50% below 1990 levels, the addition of 2.8 million jobs driven by the steady economic stimulus of the dividend, and the avoidance of 230,000 premature deaths due to reduction in air pollutants. Being an asthmatic, I have to say, this hits me, it strikes a raw chord, no pun intended, but I'd like to see that study. And I think that you should share that with the Environmental Commission and have a walkthrough of that study, try and get on the agenda and go through some of the high points of that study. And maybe we can identify some local solutions or local action items that we can do in addition to the points, but I think that that's a good place to start because you're talking numbers there and you're talking real data. So I think that that's where we could probably make a difference. Thank you.
I'd just like to point out that in 2017, we supported the same sort of Paris climate agreement, but in that resolution, we committed the town of Morristown to develop and implement a climate action plan, which I'm assuming we're working on or putting together grant applications or something to that effect. That's the process to develop the list of things that we could do to make a change locally and show that we have skin in the game. And I think we need to show the residents that we do have skin in the game and we do we are prioritizing this, and it is something that is important to us, in addition to making broader political recommendations to the state and the federal government. So I'm in support of it, but so.
Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.
Before you vote, I got a comment. if I may. So this resolution is urging the United States Congress to address this. And if you really want to get your arms around something, I suggest you go to look at the 4th National Climate Assessment, and you can get it online. It's massive, massive. So this is clearly not a local issue. And what it is a local community like Morristown is saying, hey, you know what, we recognize that the Congress should be at least looking at this, and you're supporting this resolution, which I think you should. However, nothing's going to change until that Congress changes, and that's just the bottom line. So it's important that we, at least in my opinion, that we support what we can clearly see in front of us. And we will give you the information of what we've done: open space, planting more trees, urging people to cycle and walk more than get in your cars. There's a million different things we can do, things that we have done. What the Environmental Commission is leading the way, whether it's preserving the land next to Foots Pond, whether it's all the lake cleanups we've done. There's a million different things to better and clean the environment. But it's all about fossil fuels. It's all about not just what we do as the United States as leaders, and Congress should take the lead on it, and what this resolution is urging Congress to do, is it's global. It's just global, and it's happening. I'm urging people to pay attention to what's going on globally. It's not, we could do our part here, which is supporting this, to push Congress. But let's face it, Congress isn't going to do anything until we change Congress. And that's it. That's the bottom line. We got to change Congress to start moving some of these things back to protections of our environment. And just look at what's going on in Alaska. Look at one of the largest wildlife refugees is now they want to open to develop and pipelines and oil and all the different things that goes on. I mean, solar, wind, all different kinds of renewable energy and future stuff that will create jobs, manufacturing jobs, construction jobs. I don't know. I can go on and sit on a soapbox and talk about climate change. We're living it. And if you don't think so, if you haven't seen the climate change in Morristown in the last 10 years, then you're not paying attention. Because it's here. I've seen the storms. I've seen the hurricanes. I've seen the microbursts. I've seen what just happened the other night. So anybody who says that, they can argue, that it's cows that cause this. Google it.
Fat cows.
Google it. Google it. It's true. They claim that, and it does. Methane gas does add to the issue. So, there's so much that goes with this. But look, you know what? If we're all not going to be here forever, and we know that. But isn't it our duty and our responsibility to at least say something locally and do whatever we can to make it a little bit better here? And then, but there's so much going on all over the world that we're just not even a pebble ripple in the water compared to what's going on all over the world with climate change. But that's it. I'll shut up now.
Shut up.
Your whole council team was
Call the question.
looking at you like.
I'm sorry, but you know what? I've been talking about this for, Stefan, how many years I've been talking about climate change?
Yeah.
Every year, in and out, I talk about this.
Mayor's climate action.
Focus on your quietness.
People think I'm a little crazy about it, but.
On the adoption of Resolution 150-2018, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 152-2018, resolution authorizing the execution of agreement with Morris Arts. Can I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually had this pulled because I actually had the question of whether or not, rather than Morris Arts, which actually is committed to Morristown, has been committed to Morristown, but is a regional organization, this is 10%, and this is town's money. This is our monies. 10%, this is our monies. Should we consider putting our own local group together? One, to solicit more local opinion. Two, these are town monies, have people directly involved with the town, involved with the distribution of the monies, or how the monies are going to be spent. And three, it solicits more involvement of people in town. People do want to get involved. It creates an additional opportunity for folks to get involved. I do know sometimes it's going to be complex. You have artists that are involved, but I also know for a fact that we have a lot of capable people in town that could sit on such a committee that are composed of people that are local people.
Well, the agreement that's before you for consideration really would bring Morris Arts to facilitate, but there's also, as part of that process, going to be a committee that would be formed of local residents as well as representation from this body, the administration, et cetera, that would facilitate that very process. So, there's going to be a public input process, there's going to be a committee process. This is not contemplating that we hand off to Morris Arts to decide, what's going to be decided for our town. It simply provides that they facilitate the process and help assist the town in curating the artwork, facilitating the RFP process and helping us in order to get to a point where we can decide on an artist. But it does not usurp, any decision-making ability from this body. It certainly does not usurp the committee process that we expect to be incorporated into the public input process as part of the Percent for Arts.
But the committee process is not in the agreement.
It talks about the public
input
process. And actually, Katie is here from Morris Arts, who helped to develop this and can speak more specifically about what the process would look like.
What projects do we have kind of like in the planned?
At this point in the pipeline, you have the Percent for Arts for Fox Rothschild, as well as the vertical project next door. We expect that they'll actually combine resources and do one large project since they're neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be the first project under the Percent for Arts project.
Mm-hmm. And for example, that project, how much funds do we have for that project?
It's 100 for each, so it's 200 total.
So it's 20, and so we'd be paying $20,000 out of the $200,000.
Correct.
So that means that $180,000 is left for other?
For the artwork,
For the artwork.
Oh, for the artwork?
Yes.
Okay.
And it may interrupt. So early on, when I created this, and the council supported it, which I think we were leading in the state on this, was I was in a room, and I don't know if Katie was in there or not, but I know that people from New York came in, and Katie came in, talked to us about art, and they showed pieces of art. And I was like offended at a piece of art. I was like, no, that's terrible, art residents. And some people loved it. So I knew right away, I'm not a person who really is the one who should be making decisions on what art is the proper art. But when you do it through committee and you people that are knowledgeable in the town, they're part of the process, I think it's better. But you needed somebody who can facilitate it. Because I can't facilitate it because I'm not an expert in art. Morris Arts has very good, deep roots and understanding of arts. And I think that's the whole mechanism. And I think it's a small percentage to pay to implement what I think is a great program and one of the first in the state, if not the first in the state.
I'd also like to suggest that while Morris Arts is a regional organization, they're centered in Morristown. They've put a lot of their efforts into Morristown. I would encourage council members to look at the process that Morris Arts went through to make the totem pole artists on Early Street, which essentially used the art component for the Early Street Development Project, and extremely collaborative, reaching out to all elements of the community, minority, and otherwise, and really pulled together artists and in a collaborative fashion. I think they deserve a lot of credit for that, and I support this.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the adoption of Resolution 152-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
No.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. 154-2018, resolution awarding bid to Allstate Technology, Inc. for resurfacing of Burnham Park Pool. Can I have a motion for adoption?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Deeb, comments?
Well, I guess It just seems like we spent a lot on the Burnham Park pool. So didn't we just do a major resurfacing there last year, or no? Okay.
No, there was-
But I know
it's in
we
the
did a
capital
lot of
proj-
improvements there last year, didn't we?
To Burnham Pool?
Yeah.
Not yet. And this has been in the capital plan.
Okay.
And it's a major undertake.
How often does
That's not good.
are we in a safe
Well, we're-
safe building?
Well, yeah, there's probably some storms rolling around out there.
Wow.
Or if someone has something to say about
Yeah,
Burnham
we have a
Pool.
generator. I don't know if it's switched over yet, though. I don't think so.
It looks
the
like we
tape
still
back
have
up
full
on?
power, so
Yeah.
we should talk quickly.
Back on.
So it's been approved, it's in the capital plan, and
It's in the capital plan.
And how long does a resurfacing last? And is there a warranty on it?
There's a warranty, I want to say 5 years, but I don't want to answer that definitively without the engineer.
All right, I'd be
So I can get
interested
back
in
to you.
knowing what, yeah.
Okay.
On the adoption of 154-2018, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Deeb. Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, at this time, we have no unfinished business. We have new business, regional bike sharing with Morristown, Morris Township, and Madison. This was put on by Councilman Armington. I know we heard a little bit from Transoption today, so if you want to tell us quickly.
Well, so I think based on the mayor's input and comments, I'd like to set up a meeting with Transoptions to come back and brief the mayor. They've gone through I would say an exhaustive planning process of looking at all of the regional and local bike share groups and so I think a meeting is in order to fully brief you guys about what the
Okay.
whole planning process is. So
When you say meeting, are you saying for them to come and do a presentation?
I think
Or just a meeting with administration?
a meeting with the administration, and then if there's a desire to have a follow-up presentation to the council, then I'll coordinate through the clerk's office and the council president.
Well, I think it would be interesting to hear, too, the presentation for the council, not just the.
Well, I extended them an
think
opportunity to
it's
come and do a presentation.
A meeting with
But we're
the administration to
Yeah, I mean, they need to lay out to the engineering, to the police, what their plans are, what they want to do. I mean, may never get back to the council level. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know anything about their plan.
Okay, so we can arrange that through the clerk's office. We have their contact information. there.
yeah.
Just have them call.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion, second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 9:46.
That was historical.